So I will start off with a roll call. Do we have Representative Mary Fossey? Looks like in attendance. Representative Dan Griffey. Senator Claire Wilson. Senator Matt Banky. Okay, do we have Suzanne Cook? Lauren Taylor? Christina Davis? Who's just joined? Do we have Jim Huffman? Chris Elwell? Christina Davis, did you just join?
Yes, good morning, thank you.
Good morning, thank you. Terry Fortner?
Good morning.
Good morning, Terry. Mariana Hike? And Karen Dove. Okay. We'll keep monitoring to see if others are able to join us. I did want to take a moment to introduce Deputy Secretary Sean Murphy to welcome the team.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the CI Advisory Committee meeting. For the month of September, Secretary Strange could not be here. She's on the road right now, traveling to Claude May. I want to acknowledge the new members that we have here today, several from the Washington State Legislature, Senator Wilson, Senator Banky, Representative Fossey. Welcome to the committee. I also want to acknowledge the rest of the committee, including Representative Dan Griffey and all of the other leaders on this committee. I want to thank you for your continued leadership. As most of you know, Correctional Industries encompasses certainly a wide range of vocational training and work programs within our facilities. These programs are essential to help provide people the opportunity to gain new skills, meaningful experiences, and contribute positively, all while carrying out their sentences. And so this is important work that we talk about here. It promotes the personal growth, lifts a lot of folks' self-esteem, and helps boost their confidence while they increase the ambition. And they start to get back into their, prepared to get back into their traditional lives. And so Correctional Industries overall for us provides us all hope and acknowledges the human capacity for change. And so I want to share that with folks, and please recognize that the work that you're doing here is extremely important and valuable to incarcerated populations, to their families, and definitely to the community. So thank you for being here, and thank you for your leadership.
All right, thank you, Deputy Secretary. I'll also turn it over to Assistant Secretary Danielle Armbruster to welcome the group.
Jamie, this is Danielle. You cut out. Did you want me
Oh,
to
yes,
go
absolutely.
next?
Yeah, thank you, Danielle.
Okay, sorry. Just wanted to ensure, didn't want to jump in. Good morning, everybody. Danielle Armbruster, Assistant Secretary for the Reentry Division. Looking forward to the meeting this morning, and welcome to the new members, not only our legislative constituents, but also members of the public, labor, and business. Looking forward to the meeting this morning and just really focusing on updates from Correctional Industries. I think one of the things that I take away when I'm looking at the updates for this morning is really that focus of education and Correctional Industries, and really thinking about that continuum of care for individuals, ensuring that they have the education that they need or want. So adult basic education, and then looking at vocational certifications, or looking at their 2-year associate's degree or their bachelor's degree. So really thinking about how education ties into the work experience that we provide within Correctional Industries. I also want to take a moment and just recognize that we're really focused again, and I'm grateful to say this, post-COVID that we are focusing on workforce development again. And we're at full capacity with our staff for workforce development and really thinking about not only those technical skills that are going to help an individual get the job, but the soft skills that will help an individual keep the job. How I interact with my coworkers, how I interact with my supervisor, how I interact with just the general public. We also have a component of that for our CI staff that are required to attend cognitive coaching, and I think we'll hear a little bit more about that throughout the updates, where our staff are trained to support that work environment, to support that professional interactions between supervisors and coworkers. So looking forward to that continuing to expand and grow statewide. And just welcome to everybody. Thank you for being here, and I'll turn it back to you, Jamie.
Thank you, Danielle. So I just wanted to welcome Representative Mary Fossey. She's a proud mother of two, wife of a veteran, daughter of a single mother, a survivor, and a former small business owner with over a decade of community advocacy experience. She's a well-known as a dedicated public servant and proponent of the right of workers, families, and our most vulnerable. She's particularly proud of her work to secure nearly $5.5 million for an environmental justice cleanup project for the Delta neighborhood in Everett, which has been historically underserved. Representative Fossey brings a vital and unique perspective to the legislative community, as well as our new member of our CI Advisory Committee. And having experienced the trauma of poverty and homelessness in her childhood, her top priority at the state legislature included affordable housing, addressing homelessness issues, supporting family wage jobs, and establishing safe and resilient communities. So I just wanted to welcome her to the advisory committee, and then also serving in the general public, we have Christina Davis joining us today. So Christina is an award-winning, passion-driven collaborator of correctional programming with 18 years of criminal justice experience. Christina is committed to providing equitable, inclusive, and integral services for incarcerated individuals. Christina is looking forward to being a part of the CI Advisory Committee to learn and collaborate with industry experts who can provide her with a bigger picture of how to manage prison programs more effectively so the incarcerated may have access to correctional industry opportunities within the community upon their release. So just wanted to take a few moments to welcome all of our new members to today's meeting. Okay. So just as a reminder for the committee, these are the RCWs that govern the advisory committee. And so just wanted to share that the advisory committee shall have the composition provided in RCW 7209-080. We do have an open recruitment going on for additional advisory committee members. It actually closes today, but we are still actively looking at filling a couple of slots in our labor category. So we will be reopening that recruitment to obtain additional advisory committee members. Next slide. So we are in process of finalizing our fiscal year 2023 annual report. So as a reminder, these are some of the facts from fiscal year 2022. We are hopeful that at our December meeting that we will have the updated data to share with the committee members as well as our external stakeholders. Danielle?
So Jamie, just quickly, if you can be closer to the mic, you keep cutting out. I think a couple of people, I can hear you like sporadically. Also do another round of roll calls because it looks like we have some voting members of the advisory council that have joined us.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for that feedback, Danielle. So we'll go ahead and restart the roll call. So let's see here. Representative Mary Fossey.
Present.
Thank you. Representative Dan Griffey. Senator Claire Wilson. Senator Matt Banky. Suzanne Gordon.
I'm here, thanks.
Thank you. Lauren Taylor.
Here.
Thank you, Lauren. Christina Davis, I know you're here. Jim Huffman. Okay. Chris Elwell.
Good morning, Madam President.
Good morning, Chris. Terry Fortner. Mariana Hike. And Karen Dove. Okay, thank you. Okay, so again, the Department of Corrections, we're statutorily mandated to positively impact the incarcerated individuals by stressing personal responsibility and accountability, establishing the work ethic, and providing opportunities for self-improvement. So again, we are looking forward to having the new members join our advisory committee, as well as seeking additional members in the coming months. Again, the vision of Correctional Industries, as Danielle touched on, is to transform lives and increase a successful reentry through training and mentoring. Okay, so as of right now, we don't have a full quorum for the approval of the June 1st meeting minutes. But I wanted to update the committee on a couple of topics. So first, I wanted to share that this legislative session, the legislature provided some funding for the Washington State Institute of Public Policy through Evergreen College to do a study on contracting processes for correctional industries. That study is due June 30th, 2025. And some of the topics that it will be covering is going to be providing a comprehensive list of all positions offered by CI to the incarcerated populations, providing a number of individuals who have positions upon release that were obtained with skills obtained through their work with correctional industries, provide a detailed listing of commissary items purchased by the incarcerated population. It's going to evaluate the monthly gratuity rates that are paid to the incarcerated workers through correctional industries, as well as comparing a cost savings to Washington State when goods and services are procured through correctional industries versus procured on the open competitive bid process on the private sector. So next, we will turn it over to our team to talk about all of the division updates for the advisory committee members. You can certainly follow along in the materials that were sent out ahead of today's meeting.
I'm sorry, did you say this would be a 2-year study?
Yeah, so the study's due June 30th, 2025.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll lead it off. So Braille Services, located at the Washington Correctional Center for Women. So they completed 32,018 pages of Braille and 4,074 tactile pages this last quarter. They also have been able to receive some new equipment through the School of the Blind with 2 new thermofoil machines, new embosler and burster that'll kind of help that production, especially like this time of year as we're in summer. They definitely pick up with preparing for the new school year and new textbooks come in, so that equipment is very much needed and appreciated. They also were able to receive a large flat screen smartboard, which has allowed them to communicate better with the School of the Blind, provide trainings, and participate in other meeting sessions with them. And that's really shown to have a lot of benefit in both. Can't really stress the importance of the WCC Braille program to the School of the Blind. They've actually noted that's an essential function for them and able to provide that meaningful education to those youth. So, thank you.
Good morning, Deputy Director Todd Cunnington, and one of my areas of responsibility is our communications division, which encompasses license plates and tabs for the state of Washington. As spoken of in previous advisory committee meetings, we have had our challenges in regards to producing license plates. I believe we're finally reaching a conclusion on that, thankfully. So we do continue to work towards having on-time delivery with the Department of Licensing and building on our on-hand inventory of license plates. That's been a challenge, some of that due to the decreased incarcerated individuals we have for a workforce in the current area that shop is located at the Washington State Penitentiary. But happy to report that the new license plate shop that's located in the medium custody area of the penitentiary is progressing, and we've received the majority of the new equipment we have for that area, and work has started to bring that area online within the next month to 2 months for us to be producing in the new area and move our operation there. And I'll speak a little bit more on that when we get to some of the old business updates, but that's what I have for now. Thank you.
So computer-aided design services, also at WCCW. They were a very large part of a very successful year in the furniture division in preparing drawings and information for year-end orders with approximately 1.8 million of value in orders that were done in the last quarter for the cutoff. Another, I think, which is a really great highlight, and Danielle touched on a little bit about the partnership with education, is that there is a restart within education to provide tech design class courses, which will not only provide introduction to skills to those individuals, provide them that education, but also provides ProCAD, some knowledgeable individuals to join that operation to be able to get that work experience, taking that education and applying it to their work activities. And so really looking to see the benefit of that returning. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. So I'll speak a little bit about food manufacturing. So again, this organization continues to develop skills, training the incarcerated workers to focus on work ethic, respect in the workplace, and through their Making It Work participation. Danielle spoke a little bit about the cognitive coaching, which is for our staff, and so that they can speak in the same language when it comes to workplace conflicts. Food manufacturing continues to work really closely with USDA. We have seen the raw materials leveling out in terms of supply chain challenges, as well as pricing stabilization over the last few months. We are working with our external customer base on minimum order quantities. As we know, shipping costs do continue to increase, and that's a combination of road time, labor, fuel. And so we have instituted minimum order quantities for our external customers, just to ensure that we can continue to support their business. Food manufacturing does continue to work closely and collaborate with food services on best practices and ways to integrate seasonal menu changes for the department. So as far as food service goes, we did have a very successful Ramadan and Passover observances with over 2,300 participants in Passover. That was the most participants in percentage that the department had seen ever. So that was a really busy time for food services, as actually both of those occurred simultaneously. Monthly meetings still continue with the state dietitian as well as with the Department of Health to assist in menu planning and product review, approvals for substitute items, any changes to medical diets. So food service just continues, like I said, to operate and to collaborate with food manufacturing. So these are some pictures from WSP. Just recently, actually, Correctional Industries was able to host our one of our quarterly meetings of our corporate management team at WSP in July of this year. It was a great opportunity for our operations managers and general managers from around the state to be able to see another institution and connect and talk about best practices. Some of the pictures that you're looking at are the currently 8.5 acres that have been planted of gardens. And for the first time ever, we were able to plant things like watermelons, and we're just now, of course, seeing the bounty. Great opportunity as the food admin team and has worked over the last 1.5 years with Evergreen State College on just evaluating gardens and some of the opportunities as well as some of the challenges that exist statewide. In a meeting yesterday with Assistant Secretary of Men's Prisons Dawn Holbrook, we were discussing the opportunity of some of the land at WSP and the ability to maybe expand the gardens down there. And to be able to share some of the bounty in future years between some of the Eastern Washington facilities, being Airway Heights as well as Coyote Ridge. So exciting, and there's some planning underway that could support that endeavor.
All right. Back to me for future brand sales. So the sales team has worked on increasing customer outreach efforts, really focusing on re-energizing past higher education accounts, and they've been successful in that with some projects that were completed at Walla Community College, Spokane Falls Community College, and Spokane Community College is actually working on opening a new building about 60,000 square feet that we hope to be a part of. The brand has worked on updating our standard fabric and finishes. We've found some replacement chairs for the Stratus and Legacy line. And we are focusing on also looking at updating what's available in our fast fulfillment for desking and seating. We have a few agencies that have requested that we carry some fast fulfillment items for their staff to be able to purchase fairly quickly when it comes for reasonable accommodations and things like that. The furniture sales team did a remarkable job this year supporting their customers. Just worked tirelessly to ensure that every detail was met and aided in that communication towards the year event. And I'm really proud of them. Thank you. And it's still me. So furniture manufacturing, just a remarkable year just for the furniture division as a whole. The factory itself had about $26 million in sales for the year ending in June. It's more than double of the comparison for the previous year. And I think what's really kind of neat to highlight that is due to facility closures during lockdown, or I guess better way to put it is COVID lockdown, but pausing of operations. Really about that entire 26 million came, half of that was catching up from last year's because of so many pauses we had in our operations. So they really did about $17 million just from January to June. So a lot of hard work, both with our staff and our incarcerated, just to ensure that all those orders were completed timely. And through the work between sales, ProCAD, the furniture, and our install teams, really led to the furniture division being profitable and sustainable for the first time in several years. And so just a great job all around for everyone involved. Thank you.
This space wanted a really big conference table to fit as many people around the table as possible.
That I think was really important to Secretary Strange, that the furniture that was going into this conference room was something that wasn't purchased from an outside manufacturer or one of our vendors. that it was really designed, engineered, manufactured within our correctional industries operations to really showcase the skills and abilities of the incarcerated individuals.
We come up with a concept of a design, and then it goes to Staff and Creek Correction Center, where the engineering department will create all those parts and components all the way down to the nuts and bolts.
It just shows what we do, how important our job is.
That is a custom piece. Each time a new order comes in and a new product is generated, and these individuals are building that self-confidence and the self-esteem and finding the skills and abilities that they might not have known they had before.
I don't think you can put a price on the education that we provide.
I do really appreciate this job. I love coming to work because it's like stepping outside of prison. I come in here, it's professional. I have my teammates that we work well together.
It's also the most normal part of my day. This is like being out in the real world and having a real job with office skills, learning how to behave in an office, teaching others. So it's really rewarding.
And by their department, a lot of them, they're identified by their DOC number, they're identified sometimes by what their crime was. But for these individuals, right, they start identifying themselves differently. I'm a CNC operator, I'm a drafter, I run the finishing room, I'm a welder, I'm a fabricator, I'm a powder coater. How we see ourselves really changes on how we're gonna act.
It'll definitely help somebody get out there and have trades, be able to go somewhere and apply at a job and say you have experience doing this or that. It makes you feel like you're working at a real job as opposed to being in prison. Here at Cedar Creek, you get to go all over the place and get to install stuff, and they don't treat you like an inmate. They don't treat you like you're a bad person. They treat you like you're one of them.
CI has a very wonderful program for finding jobs.
Getting a job early on can be a huge protective factor against recidivism.
What I know now and the skills that I have here, I really think that I can be out there and be successful.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I was gonna say, thank you, Jamie, for sharing that video. I think it did a great job of showcasing every part of the furniture division and how every single piece, or every different part kind of relies on the other one to aid in the successful project such as the Secretary's conference room. And it is a beautiful layout. It turned out really great. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Lindsay Conrad, Assistant Director. I'm responsible for, one of the areas of responsibility is the Incarcerated Individual Services Division. So this division encompasses the commissary, centralized commissary operations and package programs at Airway Heights and Monroe Correctional Complex. Update for this period through June 30th. As one of the accomplishments was the installation of some additional racking at the Monroe package program area. As unusual as it sounds, this was an 18-month process. Involved a lot of vendors from the outside, the city, facility maintenance, building inspectors, everyone, all the players that it took to get this additional racking installed was quite enormous, and as I mentioned, 18 months long. So we're very excited to have that and expand the storage capacity there at Monroe. We did end of financial year 2023 inventory at the end of June, and the Monroe and Airway Heights commissary reported inventory accuracy of about 98%, which is awesome. The package program right now is focused on some of the challenges we're facing with our package vendor, which is Union Supply. So we are working closely with them to increase our inventories so that when we are selling the packages, when our incarcerated individuals or their family and friends are purchasing these packages, that we have inventory on hand ahead of time to fulfill those orders. We're aware that it's been quite a challenge through COVID, and then that has continued. So we're working very diligently with the vendor to increase our inventories. We had the vendor on site a few weeks ago to review all of the space available for their inventory. So hopefully that will provide some additional opportunity for them to send us more in advance of the programs. One of the other areas we're working on in regards to the package program is our management. Our package program manager has been heavily involved in the recent updates to the incarcerated personal property policy, DOC policy 440.000. It was the first significant policy update since, I believe, 2013. So he worked closely with that team in ensuring that policy was aligned with what we were selling, and that there was clarity around some of the challenges in the matrix that previously existed. So that policy is being revised right now, or has been revised and was recently published. We continue to work to use the incarcerated tablets as much as possible for communication of our programs, both commissary and the package program. Using them to have to order commissary and to have the electronic version of the package program catalogs on so they're visible. They don't have to use just the paper copy that might be in the units. And then lastly, I'm not sure if she was able to join, but we have on our advisory panel the prime sponsor, Senator Claire Wilson, prime sponsor for Senate Bill 5131, which was implemented in July. So one of the focuses for commissary right now is monitoring the impacts of that Senate bill, which created a commissary sub-account, which is deduction free. So family and friends can put money on the incarcerated individual's bank account books, and then it doesn't have any deductions from it, and it's used solely for commissary. So just wanted to mention that we are monitoring that impact, and in August we saw a 27.5% increase in sales, in commissary sales, over previous August of 2022. So quite a significant increase in sales. So we're watching inventory levels, and we're not sure if this will be a continuous and sustained increase that we'll see, or if this was like a peak because it was brand new. So one of the things the commissary will be focusing on is monitoring those sales. And that is all for incarcerated individual services.
All right, laundry. As simple as it seems, dirty in and clean out. It is quite the operation, and a critical operation at the institutions that we oversee every day. I'm happy to report Association for Linen Management, or ALM, certifications continued through COVID and have continued post-COVID as well, giving the opportunity to individuals that work for us to focus on yet another tool to add to their portfolios upon release of having that certification when they leave. And then also in the laundry areas, we have reestablished our approach to consistent preventative maintenance and the scheduling of that, just to maintain the equipment that we do have and really evaluate what equipment needs we may have at the individual facilities. But do appreciate the work that's ongoing with that and taking care of what we have. Thank you.
McNeil Island. So McNeil Island, Neverborn Place, they were very successful this year in renewing the certificate of inspection. That's a U.S. Coast Guard inspection that's required. Able to get that completed for our entire fleet, as well as they were.
So one of my things is policy live well works.
We've been able to. We have a new electrician out there. That was a newly established position. That position's already shown the benefit. and that we were able to install all new LED lighting on the Marine McNeil Dock and Causeway, which has always been kind of a safety concern due to the H lighting system that was out there. Towards year end, we were able to secure some assets to support the island operation in fuel trucks, dump truck trailers, and some other groundskeeping equipment. The team's really working on surplusing old equipment now, and also continuing the island cleanup, removing scrap metal left over from the many years of operations that have occurred out of McNeil. Kind of a highlight for the Marine Department out there this year, or in the last couple months, they were able to aid in the rescue of a distressed kayaker. Somebody had gotten a little too far from shore, and so it was pretty great that they were able to assist that citizen and safely get back to shore. And upcoming projects, planning for the dry docking of the Callahan and Chinook ferries. Even though it just seems like yesterday that they were in dry dock, that is a pretty intense process to plan and schedule for and ensure that you have everything needed so that you make the most of those dry dock opportunities. And strategizing with capital projects on use of funding that was provided in the repair and maintenance of some of our marine infrastructure. So, thank you.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Vicki Hoffman, Assistant Director of Eastern Region, where I oversee Airway Heights Correctional Facility, Coyote Ridge Correctional Facility, and Washington State Penitentiary. The Optical program is currently located at Airway Heights Correctional Facility. On average, they produce approximately 533 pairs of eyewear per day. We have approximately 56 participants in the program, and they service over 320 providers throughout Washington State. So the actual turnaround time for a pair of eyewear is 5 to 6 days. In the photo, I wanted to kind of highlight Dr. Ogden over in the corner there. He was recently a guest speaker at Airway Heights Optical Program. He's affiliated with the Lions Club International. It's a recycling program through Lions Club International, and he is also works with Father's House Fellowship locally in Spokane. Dr. Ogden visited the optical program to talk to our individuals about the recycling program through the Lions Club. He goes on missions to three world countries and provides visionary eye care services. So he utilizes the glasses recycled through the Lions Club and distributes those to those in need. So he speaks with our individuals and sharing stories about the optical workers' importance of attention to detail, the workmanship that they do, and the individuals are really extremely proud of giving back to the community.
Right, good morning again. In regards to safety and risk management, during this reporting quarter, we have had safety audits conducted at Clallam Bay Correction Center, Monroe Correctional Complex, and the Olympic Correction Center. And it's been great to be able to reestablish these. This was one of those areas that needed regenerated focus post-COVID, and overall the facilities are doing a good job with not a lot of noted improvement needed to be made, but it's always great to get out there and recognize what improvements we can make to make our working environments as safe as possible. Additional facilities are being visited as well over the coming months, and with the goal of all facilities being visited this year and looked at. Thank you.
Service and Delivery Division. So the furniture install team has completed 200 install orders and 400 delivery orders by June 30. As we're nearing that time frame, the warehouses were extremely full, sitting well over 100% full. The team back there has been working several years. They managed without the benefit of having incarcerated workers on those install teams that is swinging in the right direction now as they continue to build that back up. So partnering with internal stakeholders at Cedar Creek, getting application referrals. We're only about 8 positions away from being where we'd like to be, and really see that as an important part of the program and opportunities that are provided there, as that provides those individuals kind of a stepping stone back to the community and reentry, and gets that exposure of customer service and see a little bit of Western Washington and get a little break from the facilities. And so we're excited to have those people back in our operations and be able to provide that opportunity again. Thank you.
Right, textiles. It's been a very busy and active time in our textiles group. One of the activities we conducted a what we do presentation to potential vendors during the presentation to the Office of Women and Minority Owned Businesses on a Teams meeting. The goal is to increase the number of AWAMBI certified vendors that we utilize for our purchases, not only in textiles, but through our organization. But it was a great opportunity to meet with those different vendors and see what offerings they had and have those conversations. We've been very active and have seen some great development in regards to some of the activities around meeting the needs of the transgender populations within the facilities, as well as putting together some clothing to be tested with health services and other areas in regards to scrubs for staff in their working environments. So a lot of great things happening right now. One of the biggest ones that we're excited about is going live on our new operating platform. We'll be the first line of business to go live into Microsoft Dynamics 365, which Vicki will speak more on here in a moment, but really looking forward to making that transition and getting that started. Thank you.
Hi, Steve Peterman here. Work with the trade-related apprenticeship coaching program at WCCW and Mission Creek. We graduated a class. We've already put a couple people to work out of that class earlier this summer. We had another woman start with the ironworkers about a week and a half ago, so moving forward there. The class that's running at Mission Creek right now, I think it's class 65, was scheduled for a late September graduation, but we've had to bump that into October because our labor partners needed to be able to come out and do their testing. So we're working with their schedule, but everything looks like it's on track. I always like saying that, but it seems like it's going really well. We graduated our Airway Heights Aerospace Joint Apprenticeship Committee class, and their first graduate will be entering the community in December, the first release, and we're looking forward to working with him. Since then, we graduated a class at WCCW just last week with 12 women. 3 have already released, and 2 are already in contact with Manufacturing Academy workforce development folks. So we're working with a total of 5 women right now for Manufacturing Academy. Another little point, our grant fund is able to work with community corrections also, and I just was invited to attend the Manufacturing Academy graduation yesterday at South Seattle College, and we had several justice-involved folks graduate from that program. So it was really neat to go down and meet those young men and help them as they transition into the community. So really exciting to be able to do that. And we're actually working to get people in more community corrections programs through our grant that we have with CI and the Bureau of Justice Assistance. So we also have a couple other areas that we're working on. We got a grant from WSDOT, and all our contracts are in place now to offer traffic control classes and OSHA 10 classes to track and in community corrections also. So our vendor is in place, and we'll be scheduling traffic control flaggers certificates classes here shortly. I think that's probably about it for now. So.
Thank you, Steve. And one thing that as our trades programs continue to grow and expand, I think it's, as Danielle spoke a little bit about earlier when welcoming everybody, one thing that we're continuing to focus on is partnerships with education and combining that on-the-job training experience with education. And the two most recent AJAC classes that graduated, as you said, the Airway Heights class, the first one there, the participants not only graduated with the certification through AJAC, but they also earned 27 college credits through South Seattle College. And then same thing with the most recent class at WCCW, earned their certification, but also through that partnership with education and South Seattle College earned 27 college credits.
Yeah, thanks for adding that. Yeah. And also, I was just working with Karen's staff. Right now, we're working with at least one CI involved person who's been released to funnel them into the next manufacturing academy at South Seattle, where they oversee 27 credits. And they have, a lot of the CI folks that go out into the community really have some great experience with some of the concepts in that manufacturing academy, and they seem to really do well with that. So, and the job placement is, the folks that graduated yesterday that I talked to both had job interviews today and tomorrow. So,
wonderful.
Really exciting to, help people navigate into that. Of course, Chris Elwell's on here at Sound Transit continues to be just a fantastic partner for our track graduates and our program in the men's facilities, the CTAP program. So really exciting. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great.
Hey, good morning. Karen Charter, Manager for Workforce Development. With our program, one of the major accomplishments is we're continuing to collaborate with Department of Corrections reentry navigators to ensure transitional services are maintained. So when someone gets released last minute, having that partnership and the connections, we've been able to work quickly to get that individual placed in a reentry house right away. The other things that we're doing is we are doing Job Hunter Series. It just started May 1st of this year. It's very successful. We will be starting mock interviews here at this location at CI headquarters in October. We're working to recruit employers within the community to participate so we can get incarcerated individuals trained or practice doing interviews with employers out in the community, not with us staff. In addition to, we started cognitive coaching at the end of this month, which was very successful, and we just completed a class last week in Shelton. So things are moving along nicely with the program. That's it.
All right, just a quick financial update. So we haven't quite closed up fiscal year 23 yet, so the numbers that are appearing there for 23 are estimates at this time, but as can be recognized, it appears the revenue is significantly higher than the previous years. As Ryan had previously mentioned, a number of those sales came out of furniture and were carryovers from the previous fiscal year, roughly to the tune of about 18%. And that also affected what the net income outcome was for the year as well, that's being reflected there. If we even that out or flow that out over the biennium, we're seeing consistent sales, consistency in our cost of goods, even though there have been increases there. We've taken significant strides in regards to our inventory management and also just what business lines that we are continuing to be in and that can sustain our programs. Our facilities, all of our operators out there have done a great job to continue keeping operating expenses in line. And like I said, you can see that there is net income appearing for this year, which is great, which allows us to be able to reinvest in our programs. But if you put that against what the loss was for last year, it comes out to roughly even and pretty consistent that we've seen over the last 5 years as far as we've been operating. It will be nice, however, to have some net income for this year, like I said, to help support us in our equipment replacement piece and just reinvesting in the programs that we have and looking towards other programming as well.
Okay, so just a couple items for new business wanted to share. So incarcerated gratuities. Since our last meeting in June, we did make the decision to increase our Class 2 gratuities, and that's for both our on-site incarcerated workers at the facility level as well as those individuals that work off-site, for example, our furniture installation team. So everything increased 15 cents. So we have a gratuity scale that starts at intro and then level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so the previous scale was 65 cents to $1.70 an hour, and that rate did increase up starting at 80 cents up to $1.85 an hour for those individuals working on site. Again, Lindsay spoke a little bit about Senate Bill 5131 and some of the impacts that we're seeing. Specifically this month in August. That program we'll just continue to monitor, because the goal of incarcerated services is truly to cover the expenses with a small amount to be able to reinvest. And that reinvestment, what does that look like? Aging equipment, the equipment that commissary needs. We do have a fleet of trucks and distribution items for the local facility levels. Cost, we continue to monitor cost, items that are increased, whether we actually pass along costs or at times reduce costs to our incarcerated population. So, it's every month we're evaluating that, and again, just trying to cover the expenses and offer the products at the lowest possible price to the population. So just wanted to share those updates for new business. Moving into old business, I'll turn it over to Vicki to touch base on Dynamics D365.
Thank you, Jamie. For our new members and guests, we're currently in a business-led transformation. Todd briefly spoke about textiles coming on board. This project is a multi-year endeavor to replace our existing enterprise resource planning software, Microsoft Dynamics 8 and 10, Great Plains 8 and 10, with new existing software, D365 or Microsoft Dynamics 365. We're currently in Wave 2. On the screen, you'll see kind of like the timeline for the implementation. Wave 2 includes inventory management, master planning, production control, and warehouse management. Right now, we are anticipating over the next couple of weeks to go live with textiles. Textiles staff are super excited about going into production and utilizing the new program. And then we focus on the stabilization efforts over the next few months. And how it integrates with the finance team. The next phase of our project that people have been doing on the behind the scenes is working on the development of our timekeeping integration into D365, and then the focus on optical, commissary, and food manufacturing as the next lines of business for the rollout.
All right, and an update on license plates. I spoke of it a little bit earlier, but we're really looking forward to having the new equipment installed. We're in motion now to start getting things in place in our new location in the medium custody area of the penitentiary. All the stakeholders came together over the course of the last few weeks through DOC capital projects, facility maintenance, IT, CI, all of us working together to lay out who is doing what, on what schedule, and what things need to take place. Our first priority is getting our digital room in operation, and that will digitally print the sheeting that goes onto the aluminum license plates. That's the picture at the top. We have 2 of those machines that will be installed. That's tentatively scheduled for right around the 1st to 2nd week of October to be installed and be operational by the end of that month. Coinciding with that will be the other equipment that will go in at the large main room there at the penitentiary, and that will involve our blanking lines and also our suitcase presses and areas for storage of materials and so on. But all of that, we look to be fully operational no later than December. It provides a great opportunity for the incarcerated out in the medium units to have good gainful employment out there, as well as our work skills training and the workforce development and all of those pieces that are wrapped up in that. But really our focus is to meet the needs of the Department of Licensing and what their order requirements are. We will be maintaining the current shop in its current location until we feel comfortable that we've made it to a point of having enough inventory to meet the needs of Department of Licensing, and then fully be transitioned into the new shop by probably first calendar quarter of 24. And that's the update for license plates. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. So I know we've been continuously updating the committee about the progress of the CDL program. So there is ongoing carry forward funding for 1 FTE through education for that program. So Kylie Corcoran still is sitting in that position, overseeing the potential future implementation of a CDL program. She continues to navigate the waters, working with DOT. She's working with other states, gathering information and documentation. BJA grant was submitted that I believe awards next month in October. So we are hopeful to receive some grant funding for that program. But again, we're also networking internally with the Reentry Division as a whole to discuss potential barriers for that program and ways that we can ensure that that program, if and when it's implemented, is a successful program. So we'll continue to update the advisory committee as we get more information on the future implementation of the CDL program. Okay, so at this time, I would like to graciously turn it over to today's guest speaker, Mr. Chris Self. He's an incarcerated worker for us here at CI headquarters. He's on site with one of our CI supervisors, General Manager Alan Phelps. So hopefully he has a few minutes to share his story and thoughts with the advisory committee, and we certainly welcome the committee members to engage and ask any questions. So Alan and Mr. Self, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jamie. So I'm in the room with Mr. Self, and also Angie Bradley has joined us. She's a supervisor back there in the textile division, so she's joined us. So I'll turn it over to Chris, and he can share his story.
Well, my name is Chris Self. I'm an 8-year Army veteran, educated at the University of Washington, Tacoma. Fell on hard times, and I ended up in prison back in 2011. I did a little bit of time in Coyote Ridge, and then I transferred to Stafford Creek. While I was at Stafford Creek, I started working at CI in the furniture factory. First place I started off was in the metal shop, I was in the grind pit. That's pretty much where everybody starts off, and anything that's welded, they bring it over to you, and you have to grind it and clean it up, make it pretty so that they can be powder coated. I lasted there about a day. They moved me promptly to the saw area, where I had quite a few more responsibilities. We cut steel with a cold saw, we drilled it, we ground it, we sheared it, we bent it, we did all kinds of stuff to the steel products. So we were making parts for metal furniture that's distributed throughout the state to all the state agencies. All the stuff you saw in the video earlier. While I was doing that work, it was it was hard work. You were learning a lot of good skills, but a lot of times you'd find that there was more workers than there was work. So you kind of had to find your niche, you know, try and find a place where you could go learn extra stuff. I took the time to go learn how to weld, even though I wasn't a welder. I learned how to MIG weld and TIG weld, just two totally different things. And I'm grateful for that. I can use that whenever I get out to start working on my cars. You know, I like to do a hobby. One of my hobbies is automobile restoration. So that stuff's going to come in handy, you know, being able to do metal work like that. But like I said, the work was heavy. It was hard. Being disabled, I'm missing a leg. So I walk on a prosthetic, and some days it was hard to even get back to the unit because I was doing such heavy work. So I changed jobs and I became the floor coordinator for the metal shop. My responsibilities there involved receiving jobs from the business office, procuring materials that we need for those jobs, then disseminating the jobs out to the different workstations to make sure that those guys had the materials that they needed to make the parts, do the welding, do the bending, do the powder coating, you know, get all this stuff put together. And I would order the materials, make sure that it comes in. Once it's there, unload it from the truck with a forklift, stack it in its place. Just follow the job throughout the project, making sure that it made its way through the factory. And when we got done with it at final assembly, we sent it over to the shipping department so that they could wrap it up and address it and ship it right out. After a while, I got bored with that, and I decided I wanted to do metal furniture design work. So I moved into the office and I moved into the design and engineering department. We used such software as SolidWorks and AutoCAD to design items in 3D like we saw in the video earlier. I did some wood, but it was mostly metal. I would say 50% of the drawings that came out of Stafford in the last, between 2019 and 23, at least half of them had my name on them. I started out knowing nothing about design work. I worked closely with a gentleman named Troy Oakes, another incarcerated individual, and he taught me a world of information. And this is what I want to do when I get out. I want to be able to go and continue doing design work. Eventually, Troy timed out. He had to take his time off from CI, and I moved into the lead position where I was training others and teaching them how to do all the things that I knew. Part of that was, you design the product, you create the individual parts on the computer, and then you convert those files over so that a CNC machine can understand what those parts are. Then the machine can cut out the parts. At Stafford, we had a turret punch press, which would actually punch out thin gauge steel and make the parts that you needed for stuff like file cabinets and wardrobes and desk parts and just all kinds of stuff. The other machine that we had, when Walla Walla closed down their metal shop, they sent over their laser. The laser is used for cutting out thicker gauge steel, and when it came to us, it came with no instructions. They sent out a technician to set up the machine, and he was going to help me. He was going to try and train me on how to program the machine so that it could cut out parts. When I opened the software for him, he says, "This is version 11. I learned on version 1, so I don't understand this." And we were having troubles figuring out how to use this machine, so he got pulled away to go out to the factory floor and do something with the actual laser itself. While he was gone, I opened the how-to folder and I did a little tutorial, and I learned how to use this software while he was gone. When he came back, I had parts ready to cut out. He was like, "Wow, that's great. How'd you do that?" So I showed him, and he says, "Well, then you're doing better than me. Keep going." Eventually, I had to write an SOP for both the turret punch press and for the laser on how to program it and how to create parts. That was one of my last efforts as I prepared to leave Stafford Creek. while I was learning to do drafting, like I said, I really want to do this when I got out. I continued to ask, when the time comes that I reach my 7 years at staff or at CI, or I reach my time that I need to go to camp, what are the possibilities of getting an extension or a camp hold so I can stay at Stafford in that position to continue learning and practicing that skill? One of the things that CI wants is a return on investment. They spent a lot of time training me, but then all of a sudden, camp is 6 years. Sorry, you got to go to camp. I asked numerous times, can I stay? Can I stay? Can I stay? And I kept hearing, no, you have to go to camp. So now I'm at camp. I got to Cedar Creek with 5.5 years left. I had to basically I'm going to have to take 5.5 years off from the skill that I learned and really want to use. It's a diminishable skill. It's computer knowledge. Computer software will continue to improve and upgrade year to year. And every year that goes by, I'm losing more of that skill. It would be great if we had something at Cedar Creek where we could commute, much like we do to the warehouse here. If we could commute over to Stafford and do some drafting there. Or if we had a couple of positions here at CI headquarters where someone could do remote drafting, which is promoting remote work, which is a lot of what's going on in the community these days anyway. Just something to think about. We really have a great program there. You learn a lot. You can really put that to work if you can get to work. After that, like I said, I moved here to Cedar Creek, and I'm working now at the textiles division. I work in accounts receivable. I've been working with CI since May of 2015 with a 3-month break whenever I first got to Cedar Creek. I moved right into a lead position because of all of my years of experience with CI. We ship out product and the customer signs for it, and a receiver comes back to me, and I make out an invoice, and we report our information up to accounting. But my job involves quite a bit more than that. I'm kind of the utility player. I take all the emails that say, hey, there's a problem with this order. We didn't get this, we got that. We got XL instead of 2X, or, we didn't get this, but it says we got it, or we got too many of these, or you charged me tax and you weren't supposed to charge me tax because I'm a tribal customer. Or there's just endless issues that customers have because of whatever reason. They usually land on my desk, and I like that because it gives me something different to do every day. Trying to figure out, why isn't this job finished yet? That's the gist of my day. And I know that we're moving forward and we're going away from Great Plains. I know pretty much everything Great Plains except for accounts payable. I am very well versed in it. I'm confident in my job. Now we're going to Dynamics 365, and a lot of us are kind of worried about that. It has the cloud aspect where the program operates on the cloud, and being incarcerated, we're not allowed access to that type of platform. So we'll be working in Excel. Currently, our software is Windows XP and the Excel that matches it. Again, this is a great program, but if we're going to go backwards, what's that going to prepare us for in the future? We're all getting great knowledge and work experience and stuff that we can use when we move forward. We just want to make it better. Let's see. Well, that's where I'm at right now. Are there questions?
Hi, Chris. So this is Jamie Dolan, Director with Correctional Industry. So first and foremost, just wanted to say thank you for sharing your story and your experience working in various shops. And I definitely appreciate the feedback that you've shared about, some of the challenges regarding classification and not having that opportunity anymore to continue honing in on your skill set at the furniture factory at Stafford Creek. And definitely appreciate the feedback about D365 and implications. As you know, textiles is the first line of business rollout. And so, I see that system evolving we still are in that discovery phase of what that future state will look like. We have also received feedback about technology in general and the incarcerated population's access to learn. And so there are some conversations with education of, are there other opportunities for, exploring and learning technology while still incarcerated and having access. So again, that's in the infancy stages, but really appreciate that feedback as you see that as a barrier. So I'll pause there and turn it over to any of the advisory committee members that might have some questions for you. Terry?
Hi, good morning. Mr. Self, thank you so much, first of all, for your service to our great nation. And I also want to say thank you so very much for so clearly articulating the complex nature of your work with correctional industries. As someone who doesn't work for the Department of Corrections, I actually work for a rather large nonprofit organization on the east side of the state. It is always very fascinating to me to learn about just how many different job categories you can be exposed to and how many skills you pick up. And so thank you so much for that. I think to my fellow committee members, my role within my nonprofit corporation at this point is one as a valued member of the executive leadership team. One of the large questions that we've been pondering and quite frankly had some significant conversation about is, will we ever be able to get to a point where we can ban the box and be able to hire formerly incarcerated individuals who've learned these fantastic job skills within correctional industries? And one of the barriers that we have, of course, is how are all of those skills, both the firm ones and then the soft skills, how are those keeping up with that which is occurring outside of the Department of Corrections and the lives that our incarcerated individuals are living? And so what would help me win this argument is if we were to ensure that the Department of Corrections is keeping up with the technological advances and actually continuing to offer the highest opportunity for educational opportunities to our incarcerated individuals. I hope that all makes a lot of sense. And Mr. Self, thank you so very much again for all that you're doing to promote correctional industries, to be a leader within your teams. And I do sincerely hope that there are some policy and procedural changes that can occur to continue your growth in these fields. So thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Do we have any other questions? Chris Elwell.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Self. My name is Chris Elwell. I work with Sound Transit, but I'm a advisory board committee member. First of all, I'd like to thank you for sitting down with us this morning and sharing your story. And thank you for your service to our country and the military. I too am a veteran of the U.S. Army, so appreciate that. I was taken, my first thoughts about your story were the experimental nature of kind of all of the work that you did leading up to finding that place that you really wanted to be in. You started off in the grind pit, then you went to some heavy work, and you really kept going until you found that one thing that you really latched onto and really enjoy. And, you know, that is such an important aspect of life. I've done a million and one different jobs along the way in my journey to get into the position that I'm at today. And I took a little piece of every one of those jobs with me to develop that skill set. And now you find yourself in a position where you're taking on more of a leadership role, more of a problem-solving role, and that's essential in personal growth. And so I just want to commend you for sticking with it and for really finding the meaningful work that you enjoy. And thank you for bringing up your concerns about technology and kind of the applicability of the skills that you're learning. Like I said, I've taken a little piece of everything that I've done, from digging ditches and being a helper on a pipeline to just a little bit of everything. So thank you for sharing your story with us this morning, and best of luck to you.
Thank you for that, Chris. Mr. Self, one question that I would have is, as you've gone through your journey, is there anything along the way that CI could do better, or anything as you continue your journey that we could do to help with your reentry upon release? I know it's a big question.
Well, as it sits right now, my desk that I work at is about 20 feet from the workforce development office, and the team there is just so amazing. They offer everything we need. I've gone there for a driver's license testing booklets, resume packet. So I fill out the resume packet, and they're helping with developing a resume. Everything, like they go out to job fairs all the time, and they bring that information back to us. I've actually met people that actually work in the field that I want to go into that are now working here at CI. And so it's good to know that resource is there, and it's, like I said, 20 feet away. I can tap into that anytime I need. I just hope that that's as readily available for everyone else as it is for me.
Yeah, thanks for that feedback, Chris. And as you know, that our workforce development is headquartered out of CI headquarters. And for the advisory committee members who don't know, the team is comprised. We have an Eastern Washington workforce development navigator who's physically located at Airway, and he covers the 3 Eastern Washington facilities, travels between them, meeting with our incarcerated workers. And then we have one that's located at CI headquarters, covering Western Washington. And then the team also has a workforce development navigator that's a community employment specialist. So her role is really networking with employers post-release and connecting individuals statewide with some of those employers. I know one of the initiatives that our workforce development team is working to bring back that we had pre-COVID is our mock interviews. And I believe the first one is actually going to come to CI headquarters. And that's just an opportunity where our incarcerated workers go through a mock interview where we bring in real employers from the outside to set up interviews and to help just understand and feel comfortable with interviewing skills. As I know, even just occasionally as staff apply for other jobs, it can be a daunting process. So that's an initiative that we're bringing back, and it's been really successful in the past. So any other questions for Mr. Self from anybody in the room or anybody online?
I don't have a question, it's more of just a statement. I've had the opportunity to work with Chris at Stafford Creek and up here at CI headquarters, and I've always just been impressed by the positive attitude, smile on his face. So when I go back there, I always check with Chris because it's just that relationship we've built together. And Chris did mention that he does have a prosthetic leg, and it's pretty pretty amazing. I was always really impressed the physical work that he was able to do down at Stafford Creek. You would have never known. And so Chris, just always appreciated working with you and seeing the great work you've done and being able to kind of be a spectator to watch you progress through those different jobs and to see you be successful with every single one. I think it's just a testament to who you are as a person and the abilities that you have. So thank you for sharing with us today, though. This way everybody else can learn more of what I've been able to personally observe about you.
Thanks, Ryan. And Steve, you got a question?
Well, I just wanted to mention, that with the background that you described, Chris, working for CA and even previously in your military experience, that I'm certain that working with workforce development and our partners, the Aerospace Joint Apprenticeship Committee, we could probably get you a pretty good line of job interviews. Might find something that would work really well for you. So there's over 400 employers that work with this organization that we work with, and we've had just wonderful success placing people in jobs. And I would think that with the background you described, you would be looking at something at much more than an entry-level job. So make sure you communicate with Karen's team, and we can work together and find that right fit for you. So.
Okay.
Great. Perfect. Well, again, thank you, Chris, for sharing your story and speaking with the advisory committee today, and some of the opportunities that we can look into for continuous improvement for our programs. So again, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so at this time, the meeting wanted to open it up. We are getting close to, at 10:25, we have the open forum for the public. But at this time, wanted to open it up for any questions from our advisory committee members regarding any of the operational report outs. Representative Fossey?
Hi, thanks. There's a lot of really amazing information. I really love the video as well. I did have a couple clarity questions. The gardens that were discussed, the 8.5 acres, does that also fall under CI programming?
So that's a great clarifying question. No, that garden is for lack of better terms, owned and operated by the institution, by WSP. So WSP has 250 acres surrounding the institution, and about 8.5 of that was transitioned into gardens this year. And so the institution has the equipment and the staff that are running that garden. We do partner in some aspects where this year, we were able to, CI was able to purchase seed for the garden, and the food manager on site worked closely with the facility plant manager on developing what items to grow. So it's really a collaborative partnership between the facility and the kitchen on site.
Fantastic. How much of the food that is grown, how many pounds is supplemented into the food service?
Gosh,
or is it all contracted out for donation?
No, so because in this case, since we purchased the seed, everything that's grown and usable is moved into food services and used to supplement the menus. So there are, throughout the state, depending on where the seed is derived from, sometimes there are contracts that, a community partner donates the seed and say, okay, 50% of the harvest that's grown goes back to a local food bank. But specifically at WSP, 100% of the usable items that are grown go back into the kitchens.
Oh, that's the first I've heard of that. When we had gone over there and toured, I thought I had heard that they were donating it to local food banks and that's what they were under contract to do. So I was kind of curious because I had heard that some of the food was being used to supplement, but I didn't get any accurate information on, how many pounds that was going back into the actual food service.
Yeah, no, I'm not aware of any other contracts. And Todd, correct me, I think in the past they have specifically grown pumpkins that they donate to the community for like a pumpkin patch. But I'm not aware of any other contracts that the institution has.
I don't know about contracts, but I do know that if there is a surplus that the kitchen just can't take on some of the items, that they will move those to the Blue Mountain. I believe it's the Blue Mountain Food Bank just down the street from the facility and move it out that way.
That is different information than I was previously given. Is there anybody that could put me in contact with someone or have that data actually sent to me in writing specifically on how many pounds that is and
Absolutely.
What it's being used for?
Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
follow up with the facility.
And then also, and I'm not sure who to get in contact with this, but I'm really interested in some of the certificates that you're providing through food service or the next step. If there's somebody that I can chat with or meet with to learn more about that and kind of your measures for success on those, I would be very interested. And also kind of, what it looks like financially wise on how we're managing the food service, kind of trajectory and how that's looked. I know COVID put kind of a wrench in everything, but I mean, looking at prior to that to like what we're shooting for now, I would be really interested in seeing that.
Absolutely, yeah, we can follow up with you on that data as well, and put you in contact. Yeah, thank you.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and actually right now, perfect timing. Right now it's 10:25, so we will pause and open it up for the public forum. So is anybody from the public have any questions? Looks like Suzanne.
Hi, I'm from the public and I am a member. I'm wondering, going back to the study, the 2-year study about CI and future happenings, I'm wondering if part of that study is to implement these gardens and farming and to promote sustainability at each facility, if that's part of this study and what the conversation is about returning food to the facilities.
So as far as the WISUP study, the study that was funded through Evergreen State College, I don't believe that is a component. The study itself is listed on their website, and we can certainly send out the link for the website where you can see exactly the metrics that they're going to be looking at. But I don't believe that gardens is a portion of that specific study that's due June 30th in 2025.
I actually just want to state further about the gardens and the food and how important good nutrition and the health of the incarcerated is, how they're being taken care of, nutrition and food wise. And, we know that fresh food is an important element of anybody's health. And I'm just curious why we continue to not develop farming and food supply to our people inside. I'm curious about why that conversation doesn't expand and grow and really develop that possibility.
Yeah, and what, from my knowledge, what I can share on that from again my perspective is some of the challenges we've encountered with growing our own produce is just in general the cost associated with the program itself, and not being able to offset that cost. That it's actually more cost effective to utilize the state contract vendors such as Spokane Produce and Charlie's Produce that work with local farmers and that can farm thousands of acres compared to the access that the department actually has to land. So we don't have access to the amount of land that it would require to actually feed 36,000 meals a day to grow our own produce. But we do rely heavily on Spokane Produce and Charlie's Produce, who are the DES state contract vendors where we purchase the produce through.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Kalani?
It's Kate Kalani, not to correct you, but just want to make sure that's stated correctly. Hi, Jamie. So I would like to know, you say that every facility actually grows their own their own produce. Is that what you?
No, not all facilities have access.
I didn't know that. I just wanted to. I thought I heard you say that. I was like, what? Anyway, so one of the things that boggles me about the incarcerated population working for CI is how does one explain when, for example, licenses, sorry, my heart's beating really fast because I'm nervous to be on this call. First time I've been here. But how does the incarcerated population produce license plates and they only get paid like 47 cents an hour, but yet you sell the license plate tabs and license plates to the public for $80 or whatever you have to do to renew it every year? Where is there a profit off of that you guys that CI is making? I'm just trying to put that in my brain of how that works.
Yeah, so I can talk, and I'll also defer a little bit to Deputy Director Todd Cunnington, who oversees the license plates. So the individuals that work for Correctional Industries, they're actually paid a different gratuity than Class 3. They're Class 2. So their gratuity rates are 80 cents an hour to $1.85. So that's their gratuity rate. And then a little bit about the contract. We do sell the license plates to Department of Licensing, but no, actually, as of right now, that operation has not been profitable for Correctional Industries. We are providing the service to DOL. Who, of course, then supplies the general public of the state of Washington with both embossed plates, vanity plates, and then as you did state, we do have the tab operation, which is located at Monroe Correctional Complex.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. It still doesn't make sense in my brain, but I can send an email to someone about that. I did want to ask about 5131. I guess you gave an update about that, Jamie. Are you the one that's looking over that implementation?
So the implementation of 5131 is really, it's a partnership between Correctional Industries and the Department of Corrections. Correctional Industries, our role and component with 5131 is the service aspect. So once the orders, come in, that we fulfill the orders, deliver them to our, incarcerated population. Where we navigate with internal Department of Corrections as a whole is on the business services side of things, who the DOC has the business service unit that oversees, components such as IT and the TAS system, which is, incarcerated banking. So it is a collaboration. So no, we don't solely oversee the implementation of that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, at this time, I will turn it back over to any questions from our advisory committee members about anything else that was discussed today. Okay, seeing no hands raised, we will work to adjourn today's meeting. As a reminder, the next meeting is held on December 7th, both at CI headquarters as well as virtually.